From the basement of the Hopheads Guide to the Galaxy World Headquarters located in northern Colorado, the Hopheads Guide podcast presents...
No, beer shorts.
I don't get it.
Nonna's playing.
Saying Nonna.
Oh, he's saying Nonna. I got it. Okay, I get it.
Well, yeah, if you had your headphones on.
Yeah, that was what was the problem.
You just hear me yelling in a microphone.
Oh, my God.
See, that would have been better.
That's what I was doing. I go, no.
What you're doing. No.
Now you said no. So I was trying to do no.
You're just going.
Well, play back. You recorded it. Play back.
You gotta go. No.
Hey there, Hopheads Beer Geeks. Welcome to another episode of Beer Shorts. With me always is the guy that wished Ant-Man actually flew up into Thanos' anus for Endgame, Mr. Matt Reber.
I don't get
it. You wouldn't.
I never, man, I can't talk about Endgame right now because it just makes me sad.
It's topping. I never saw it. Did you watch it? I didn't say it. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Don't talk about it.
Can you even get tickets for it yet? I mean,
yeah.
It's like...
And actually, I heard you could, the soonest you can get is July 4th. I heard it's really, it's starting to open that weekend. Like, that's when you could get tickets.
Seriously?
I already got a torrent. I'm good.
Oh, man.
I got my
you
cousin.
Got the burn, really?
No,
That's
no.
Oh God!
I got my cousin in the movie theater recording it right now.
Jorge, what are you doing?
Well, Angeline wants to go on Sunday, and I was like, I don't even know if we can get tickets for Sunday.
There's not. So, my wife got pretty upset. So we got the grandparents, obviously my parents coming into town for my kid's birthday, and I was like, you know what, we could probably get them to watch the kids on Sunday. We could go see Endgame. She's like, sweet, go look at tickets. I was like, I found them. You go at 9:00. I'm going at 11:30. Because seriously, that's the only good seats you could get are like one by themselves. I was like, win-win.
You can come after and we'll meet up at the food court and it's all
like,
good.
I was like, and I even told her, I was like, we don't even need them to watch kids. I'll go watch it. I'll meet you in the parking lot. I'll get the kids and go home. You watch it, and then we'll come back and pick you up and we'll eat lunch. You know, God, I'm amazed how much, they're talking about $1 billion weekend. And
it's a WildWorks weekend.
It's a WildWorks weekend. That's what they're classifying it as. It's a WildWorks weekend.
So, speaking of WildWorks, we have Wade, the brewer.
The
brewer?
From WildWorks. And he has brought us a beer for us too short.
I have.
And it is, I'll let you talk about the beer.
So it's from SARA, Sante Adairius Rustic Ales. It's called Nonna's Blend number 15. It's a Saison farmhouse ale.
So I've never had a beer from SARA or Sante Adairius, and I have to say that I'm surprised that so far I've managed to
drink it.
No, I mean, I so far they've eluded me, and that actually surprises me because, I mean, for one, I love Saisons, so they're not my favorite style, but I love them.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I mean,
Saisons are my favorite style by far.
Yeah.
And SARA makes Saison Bernice, which is, in my opinion, one of the best Saisons in the world. I like it better than DuPont. It's a great beer. They make a lot of really good beers. I'm a huge fan of theirs. I was actually out in California in February, and I drove an hour to go to Santa Cruz to go to their brewery.
Yeah.
And then they have... So they have their brewery in Santa Cruz, which is kind of in like a neighborhood. And then they have the Portal, which is downtown Santa Cruz, where people go and buy stuff. So like when they have big releases, they don't go to the neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I went to both places in one day.
So it's like if somebody wants to get a bottle of Medianoche, they don't go to Greeley, they go to Colorado Springs.
No, it's like if they don't go to downtown Greeley, they go to West Greeley.
Yeah.
They go 5 minutes away because they're 15 minutes away from each other.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and it was cool because they had different stuff.
You know,
they had different stuff at each place, but yeah, it's It's an amazing brewery. They make amazing stuff.
All right, so let's just talk about the beer. It's a beer short after all, so let's get into it. I mean, what do you know about Nonna's blend?
Not much. I mean, I know they do. It's
Greatest
Nonna's.
beer short ever.
It's Nonna's, and she does a blend. No, it's this is blend number 15.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they do a blend every year. But yeah, it's just a farmhouse ale. Farmhouse.
Yes, this is batch 15.
So this is like their 15th year of doing this.
Maybe they do more than one because I don't think they've been on for 15 years. So.
Nonna's blend is inspired by the innate ability of our grandmothers to make something delicious in their own kitchens. With seemingly nothing to work with, a catch-all label for blends we conjure from disparate barrels, Nonna's blend necessarily changes from batch to batch. Each release Nonna's blend celebrates with each. I'm not good at reading. With each release, Nonna's blend celebrates the beauty of faith in the unknowns. I'm going to just read that over again. With each release, Nonna's blend celebrates the beauty of faith in the unknown. That something made with love is itself perfect from the start. I don't know. Did you get that? Did you get any of that?
Yeah.
No, you can repeat it. Can you read that whole thing over again?
I think I could. I probably should. I think what it comes down to is this blend is something special every time, and I enjoy that in beers, you know. And
yeah, you don't get that much anymore. People have a distinctive what do we want to sell.
Right.
That's what they aim for. Whereas this is what it sounds like is.
Yeah.
We're just gonna blend this, and if it works, cool.
Well, that description makes the label make a little bit more sense because literally the label is a grandmother looking into her cupboard and going, what am I going to make?
Or where the fuck did those kids put that bowl?
But think about when your grandmother is in the kitchen and seemingly makes something out of nothing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could go ask like the simplest thing. Oh, grandma, mole, and somehow it just appears, and she probably had 3 ingredients for it, and you're just amazed, or just even the basic burrito or grilled cheese or quesadilla. It's just like
or a burrito grilled cheese quesadilla.
Yeah, it's always Mexican. It's always Mexican food. And grilled cheese.
Well, yeah, because I happen to be Hispanic. Thank you, Wade.
I don't see color.
We've never mentioned that on this podcast, but
that's why we just lost a lot of brewers. That's why they call him Brownie.
So this beer's special, and I like it. My first thought whenever the aroma hit me was wet socks.
You like wet socks to your face.
I honestly that was the aroma I got, but I was pleasantly surprised by the citrus burst that came with the flavor. 100%.
Yeah, I get you there. I think this is a great summertime. For me, saisons has always been like a spring summertime beer. This fits right into those categories. It has a little funk to it, but not too much to deter me as a funk hater. But with that saison, it is crisp and clean. That it's a good summertime beer. I would love to drink this with I don't know. I don't get that wet socks. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I don't. Maybe I don't smell enough wet socks to classify it.
Probably not.
So I do get a lot of how you said the citrus smell to it. And I just wants me to be outside for a nice warm day. Yeah. Maybe mow the lawn. I think it's a good lawnmower beer.
I think it's a good after lawn mowing beer. Yeah. After you mow the lawn and you're all done.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know if I want to pound it.
It's a 6% saison. I mean, that's
what the fuck. How long does it take long to mow your lawn?
It's nothing to shake your wet sock at.
I definitely get.
How many wet socks do you have?
A lot of wet socks.
I definitely get a lot of lemongrass.
Yeah.
And that type of bright citrus on it. I think it's phenomenal. But
You don't get wet socks.
I don't get wet socks. I don't get a lot of funk to it, like Brownie said.
Oh, there's a little bit of funk.
He's like, I never smell wet socks. I can't classify it.
Oh, I smell wet socks every day.
Take
No,
off.
I get a little funk. I mean,
I get a little on the nose, but I don't get any in the flavor.
I don't either. Yeah. I mean,
And then there's absolutely no horse blanket. There's no barnyard. I think it's really bright and it's crisp. I think you're absolutely right. It's perfect for an afternoon, evening, summer evening.
Almost
highly carbonated.
Yeah, almost like you're finished mowing the lawn. You got
just
that,
hang out in the back.
that fresh grass cut. You know, yep.
It's starting to cool down because it's going to rain later.
Nice dew going on. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great.
If that ever happens, bring me a bottle.
All right.
it's definitely a refreshing beer in flavor and mouthfeel. It's got a nice carbonation to it. But I don't know. There is something in the aroma that is, every time I bring the glass up, I'm like, and then I get a little bit of the flavor and I'm good. There is. It's there. It is. It's like, I don't know. I can't.
Wait for it. I'm so waiting for it.
I'm not gonna say wet socks again. So let's hear the scores. I mean, we score on a 42 basis, and you can take everything into account. Take the label into account. Take the spirit of the beer. Everything. Take wet socks. Whatever you want.
Weight socks?
Wet socks. Wet socks.
Weight socks are completely different.
Weight socks?
However you want to score it, as long as it's on a 42 scale.
Okay.
And we're going to start with Jake because I don't like Jake very much.
I would give this a nice, good, solid 34.5.
Half a point. That's your first half score.
Yeah. For me, it's a good summertime beer. I would say this is something that if, like, I a good hard day's summer job, like outside, and you finish it up, that's the beer you want. You want to be able to sit, pull your chair out, watch the sunset, and have this beer. And I could feel that with it. As you drink it, it's one of those, like, you get that feeling of, like, I did my accomplishment outside, and it's been a long, hard, day. Sun's been out, and cooled off. You get that summer, the sun's gone down, everything's starting to slowly get that cool off, and it works well with that. It's a good crisp beer. It's great saison. I get a little, as I said before, a little funk to it that turned me off. I think that's what dropped it down a little bit, but I would probably enjoy this on a nice, good, hot summer day.
Nice. Wade?
So when I was out there, it was a nice, cool day in Santa Cruz, and you could get this nice breeze from the ocean, and it almost had this saltiness in the air, and I kind of get some of that in this beer. That really, really, really reminds me of the brewery, of like this. It's warm, but it's also cold out type of deal. And I love the citrus on it. I love the carbonation on it. I really, really like this beer. I'm gonna give it like a 40.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a good score.
it's a solid beer. I could drink this. This would almost be a desert island beer for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Without having tasted the other variations of this,
The other 42?
Yeah. I think that I kind of wonder where this beer goes. Does it lean more funky? Does it lean more citrus? Is it lighter? Is
you
it
want to
more
try the other batches?
Effervescent? Yeah, like it makes you want to try the other batches. And despite the fact that I did, and granted, my first impression of this beer was the first impression when it was poured in the glass and it was directly up to my nose. That was what stuck the most with me. Granted, it was a little funky, but every sip since then has been ever-changing and a little bit more effervescent. And the citrus has come through. The lemongrass that you talked about has kind of come through a little bit. And honestly, like a little bit of green grass has come through, like that lawnmower type. aroma where you just mowed the grass and you're like, that's kind of nice. I like that. So, despite the fact that I talked about wet socks half of the podcast, I enjoyed this beer a lot, and I do want to try
Wet socks.
previous versions
Of Wet Socks?
and future versions of it. So, I mean, with that, I'm at a 39. I mean, I think this beer is very well made, and honestly, the more it sits in my glass, the less funky it gets. So, I'm into it. I like it, and I'm sitting at a 39. So,
Nice.
I'd like to see what batch 16 and 17
They
has to
probably
drop.
got rid of Wet Socks. You're totally down. They're like, oh yeah.
Well, and I'm not gonna lie, the label really kind of draws me to a higher score as well.
Yeah, I love.
I love that label.
Yeah.
It's a
you
nice
guys
blue background with like a grandma opening her cabinet, like
Yeah.
you said, but it's
Yeah.
like the cabinet glows. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hito, you hungry? Let me put your okay. Let me see what's going on right here.
Yeah, my wife's Italian, so like she like my daughter calls her grandma Nonna.
yeah,
So it's like even that just kind of like adds a little bit to it.
a little bit of emotion.
Yeah,
to the beer.
it's relatable. It's I don't know.
He's like,
I love
Tear,
this beer.
where you get Wet Socks from, Tear?
and really the description and the label meet up, and that's I mean, when you're talking about advertising in beer and the idea behind it, when the description is in the label, that says a lot about the beer. So yeah, I think that I like this beer. I think that I like this beer a lot.
Nice.
I'm glad you thought about it.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks for bringing it, man.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
good beer. And, the story that you told, I know you took your daughter to California,
Mhm.
right, to go to Disneyland.
Yep, I took her to Disneyland a couple months ago.
So, I think the fact that she calls, Grandma Nonna,
Yeah.
and you found this beer in California, really
Yeah.
makes a special event.
Yeah, it's really I love this brewery. It's one of my favorite breweries in the entire world. They do really, really good stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing with us, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forever young, or am I faking? On the tip of my tongue, there's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, disparate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again.